Hello, and welcome to the Graphics Profiles, the official podcast of Graphics Pro and Graphics Pro Expo, covering the graphics market online, in print, and in person. I'm your host, Regan Dickinson. Our guest for episode 47 is Adam Sumner, owner of Rapix Imaging and Rapix Academy, both based in Burbank, California. Adam is a regular fixture at RapsCon, whose expertise goes far beyond just final installation. But before we get into his perspective on where the market is and where it's headed, here's a quick word from our sponsor, Epson.
If you're in the printing industry, then you should check out the latest release from Epson, the SureColor R5070 and R5070L printers. This is an all-new line of 64-inch roll-to-roll signage printers with the unique ability of printing with resin ink. Using resin ink holds many advantages, such as diverse media compatibility, quick dry for immediate lamination, and water-based inks with Green Guard Gold certification. The R series of printers were intentionally built and designed to help businesses realize customer loyalty and continuous, fast, efficient, and accurate printing across all jobs. Check out this innovative Epson line of signage printers at www.epson.com/resin.
And we're back with Adam Sumner of Rapix Imaging and Rapix Academy. So, Adam, I'm really stoked to have you on the show. You know, you've been a fixture at RapsCon at Graphics Pro Expo as an expert panelist, a judge, and all-around good guy. So, you know, this year we're going to do RapsCon is going to be in Long Beach, California, in August this year, and you know, one of the things is we look forward to that event. Was there anything that kind of piqued your interest or things that you found out from the other expert panelists, all the other people that come to RapsCon? Was there anything that you found this year at the event that kind of piqued your interest? That kind of, or you thought maybe we're all struggling with the same things? I'm not sure, you know, because it's been a weird couple of years.
Well, I think this year was kind of a special year in the fact for me, it had been the first event that I was at, you know, since the whole COVID and everything kind of happened.
Right.
And I think one of the real interesting things that I found is just how the community and the industry has come together so much, and people are so willing to share, you know, the ups and downs of everything that has been going on, you know, and the time that I get to spend and talk to different people that are out there like John Duver and, you know, Justin Pate and, you know, all of these pillars of the industry, and just how people are willing to share the information, you know, with one another has been really huge. I think that another thing that I saw is just the amount of new suppliers and stuff that are coming out in the industry and bringing out, you know, new color change materials. And, you know, even with the print companies, the people that are manufacturing printing equipment and vinyls and all that kind of stuff, is just that, you know, even through the hard times that we've had the last few years, I think that, you know, the industry is still trying to push itself forward. And it was just a real exciting thing to see, you know, that even though we've all been struggling, and that there have been some things we've had to kind of work around a little bit through, you know, material shortages and you know, being able to get equipment and all that kind of stuff. I know I had bought some equipment during the COVID time, and, you know, it used to be you could call in on a Friday and have something delivered by the next Monday, you know, and now it's hey, it's going to be 3 months out, you know. And I think that was kind of something that was, you know, a little bit disheartening. But then you go to this event and you see that, you know, that all the vendors and suppliers and people are out there really trying to push forward and bring new things out that are going to help speed us up on installation and help speed us up with production, as far as, you know, printing equipment becoming a little bit quicker and colors coming out a little bit more vibrant. I think it was just great to kind of be in that realm and see, you know, that the industry is still moving forward, even though we felt like it was going kind of slow during that period.
Mm-hmm. And so what I'm hearing is that you're finding that there's still a lot of innovation in the market, in the industry itself, and especially among the manufacturers and suppliers, that you're really trying to push forward and trying to make your job easier, really make it more efficient, provide you with more options. Was there anything that really kind of caught your eye in particular? Are there certain innovations that others should be looking for that are going to help them, whether an installer, a designer, whatever the case might be? Have you seen some of that?
Some of the new stuff that I saw come out was, some of the color PPF films from like Flexi Shield and stuff. And that was kind of a new product that I had never really seen before. And, I'd heard it talked about, especially over the, COVID time when we weren't really doing events. And, you can only go so much off of what you hear online or through other people, or but actually being able to see it firsthand, it was a pretty cool product, and so I think it was really fun to be able to see that some of these innovative things come out and be able to see them in person was huge.
Right. And, one of the things that you mentioned too is everybody's struggling with the supply chain, and that's been an issue, and it's an ongoing issue. And
yeah,
I really don't know when it's going to end. Maybe this year, I hope. I'm always hopeful, always optimistic, but what's been your response to that? What's been the Rapix Imaging's response to the supply chain issues? And what did you find from the people that you talked to at RapsCon about that? I know there's no kind of magic bullet for this, but maybe there are some things that you can do to kind of mitigate the supply chain issues.
The one thing that I think everybody kind of goes back on is, we just need to order more material. And I think one thing that we did when we started to notice that there were issues with supplies is not only did we try to stock the stuff that was, more regular that we were going through. But one thing we really did is we took a look at our operation and how we were producing materials, and how we were laying graphics out, and how we were designing things to yield more output out of a single roll. Every roll that you buy, you're pretty much given 150 feet, and that's never going to change, right? So, if I know that I only have one roll on my shelf, it's important for us to be able to figure out how to yield as much out of that roll as possible. And I think that that's one thing. It really changed the way that we design and output a lot of our graphics, in that we were able to, maybe some customers that we were always trying to push full wraps on, this was a good time for us to kind of dial that back down and start offering more partial graphics. And in return, we saw two things. One, we would yield more out of our rolls, right? Because we were producing partial wraps instead of full wraps. Mm-hmm. And two, at the end of the day, we were making way more money. I think that a lot of times people think that, hey, the full wrap that comes out of the shop is, oh man, they're killing it. Well, I'll be honest with you. You give me 10 partial wraps versus 3 full wraps, and I'll take those 10 all day long. I'll make way more money on those, because time is on your side when it comes to partial wraps, as far as one, production, and two, installation. A full wrap, if we're pumping out one a day or one every other day, we're really, really happy. With partial wraps, sometimes we can pump out 4 or 5 a day. And the dollars that we were seeing come in, taking that approach to things, really helped us out, especially through the material shortages and stuff. And, really just trying again to yield as much out of each roll of vinyl that we had on the shelves, and design accordingly so that we could make sure we're maximizing everything that we have come in, and try and keep the amount of waste that we're throwing out, because every, you got 3-4 feet left over on a roll, and that stuff adds up really quick. And so finding creative ways to utilize all that stuff really helped us out through that period.
Can you give me a specific instance of utilizing, usually would be kind of, I guess, waste material, like I'm at the end of the roll, I've got a little bit left. Are there ways that you can take that excess material that doesn't really kind of fit and make it into something better, I guess?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, for a lot of our customers, we really try to nail colors and stuff like that. So we're always printing a ton of test prints and things. So one thing that we did is, all test prints would be done on partial rolls that we had laying around, that weren't done on a factory brand new roll. So we weren't cutting into, to 150 foot roll when we're printing, 2 feet, 3 feet of test prints, so saving rolls behind, when there's just not enough on there to actually run a full job, but there is enough to run a couple test prints, making sure that we kind of label those and put those aside on its own special rack, that we know that, hey, look, when we're running test prints, go ahead and change. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to change the machine out, but when you can't get the material for 2 weeks, changing the machine out, it's nothing,
Right.
So that's one thing that we would do. And same thing with our laminates. We have a CWT laminating table, and that's been huge, especially for the short stuff, because when you have someone that comes in, and we get the people that call in or walk in and say, hey, I want a 24 by 36 movie poster, and it's like, okay, so we print it out real quick, and hey, look at that partial roll of laminate that's over there, let's go ahead and throw it on the table and laminate it instead of webbing it up, because it eats into film, webbing it up. And as far as the laminator is concerned, so there's all those little types of things, the little stuff that comes through, saving those rolls aside to be able to just kind of knock one of those prints out real quick really did add up, and sometimes it's easy when you look at the machine and say, hey, I've got 40C loaded up, and I know this job needs to be on 40C, but it's only 40 inches of film, but you've got a 5 foot leftover piece over there. Take the extra time to pull that full roll off the machine and load up a partial, so that we could just get that one little print out without having to eat into larger chunked rolls, is kind of how we helped save ourselves from having to order so much extra film to always have on hand.
And we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor, Epson.
Aligned with Epson's high image quality reputation, the SureColor R series has the latest generation of precision core TFP printhead technology. Not only can the printhead be easily replaced by users, it also enables highly consistent color quality, a key aspect of wall panel prints and repeat print jobs. This is especially helpful for clients with a specific logo or brand color. Thanks to the large ink supply in both the R5070 and R5070L, production managers can print more and change their ink supply less often. When they do, production still doesn't slow, thanks to the hot swap functionality for continuous printing on the R5070L. Epson knows their users care about productivity and customer satisfaction. Check out this innovative Epson line of signage printers at www.epson.com/resin.
I'm here with Adam Sumner of Rapix Imaging and Rapix Academy. It seems like these crises, if you will, supply chain, COVID, all the nonsense that came along with that, it kind of forces you to take a look at your business and do those things that save on materials and waste and time, really.
Yeah.
So that it forces you to kind of streamline your business a bit. So probably creates almost best practices moving forward for you, so that you are utilizing as much of your product as you can and maximizing everything. And so you save money in the process and therefore are more profitable.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. Okay. What do you think is the general state of the vinyl install market right now? And one of the things I know about you, Adam, is that it's not just vehicles, it's not just let's wrap a vehicle. It's buildings, it's walls, it's, anything that you can apply vinyl to. So what do you see kind of going on in the market right now? Are there any trends? Are there things that customers are coming to you for that maybe you hadn't thought of before, or just some new avenues that maybe people should be looking at for their vinyl install business or their sign business, graphics business, whatever it is, right?
With the vehicle stuff, I've seen in the last 2 years just the sheer volume of people that are wanting to come in for color changes or things like that. Was for a while that wasn't a very large focus on our business by any means, because we were so big in the red carpet event industry, and we do a ton of stuff for movies and TV just because of where we're located out in Burbank.
And those are mostly printed graphics, and is what you're saying.
Yeah, those
right?
are all printed graphics, really.
Yep.
So general public, as far as dealing with color changes and things like that, it just wasn't really on our radar because we were so busy on all this other stuff. Well, then you fast forward through COVID and all our red carpet events, there was nothing going on, right? And so we really had to kind of reinvent ourselves and just kind of go after some things that we were normally kind of just pushing by the wayside. And I think that people that are in the printing industry, and some are kind of a little nervous getting into the color change market I think that it's something that is definitely worth taking a look at, because it's just getting busier, right? Look at paint protection film and window tinting and stuff like that. For a long time, when I got in this industry, that was kind of like, oh, that's a whole nother side of the market. Well, really now we're getting people, we're listed as a print shop on Google, yet people are calling us all the time about paint protection film and stuff like that. So I think that there's, with everything that's kind of gone on in the industry and how those lines have kind of blurred and kind of all came together, I think that, if you're looking to diversify and kind of open up your business to new markets, I think that, looking at the paint protection film and looking at color changes are two really good ways to kind of bring stuff in. And then as far as the printing side, like I said earlier on partial wraps, is those people that are looking to kind of get into or trying to start into the vehicle wrap side of things. That's a real easy way to kind of get into it. That doesn't take a ton of installation experience, as far as, you're not having to maybe work around door handles, or you're not having to take mirrors off because your graphics are all below those sections. Those are real good ways to kind of get into it. I found that, especially through the whole COVID thing, people aren't afraid of spending money to market their businesses. And I think that, really following up with your customers and letting them know all the things that you can do really helps out. We had a customer come into our shop about 3 months ago, and they came in and they wanted some door logos for their vehicle, and it was a restaurant kind of place. And we said, okay, no problem. So we did some door logos for their vehicle, and then it was like, well, hey, do you have any graphics inside your restaurant? And they said, well, no, we haven't really thought about that yet. So we mocked up a little branding kind of thing for them. And next thing you know, they came in for, what would have been $300 for door logos. They ended up spending about $3,800 with interior graphics. And so really marketing yourself and explaining to people that are calling in every day the capabilities that you have with the equipment that is inside your shop can really help take what seems like a small little minuscule, $300 door logo job into something that you're like, hey, that was a good day.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, when you talk about, doing color change PPF 10 and that not necessarily being associated with a graphics shop, but people are looking for that. And what type of clientele is that? Who is looking for color change, PPF, tint, and are there ways to reach that market, or are they just kind of coming to you? They're finding you.
Yeah, I mean, it's all different types of people from all different types of walk of life, and I think that the one thing that's most important, is before you get into that market is 100% have the training behind you in order to do it, to make sure that you're doing it correctly. And do it on some of your own vehicles to make sure it's something that you want to get yourself into. I know a lot of people have started into the PPF market and they're like, what, I want to stick with wraps. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of one of those guys. And that's just how I am, where I have guys in my shop that are like, hey, I'd rather do PPF all day long than I'd rather wrap a car. And so, I think one is really kind of getting into it. And then as far as the marketing side of things, it really comes down to just putting it out there, right?
Sure. Well, what do you see are the biggest challenges facing the market in the next few years, or even the next year? I mean, we're looking at 2023 right now. It's right in front of us. Do you see some challenges facing the market? And we've talked about supply chain, obviously, but is there anything else that you see?
We want to find quality guys that are going to help us out, especially with installation wise, right? Like I could have 1,000 printers if I wanted to. It doesn't matter how much I can print if I don't have enough guys to put it on. So I think that is a huge challenge that, I personally have seen in my own business over the last year. And I know that it's going to continue, just because like right now I have out there, different, job application stuff out there and trying to get them in from like Indeed and all different types of places. And just trying to find the right fit for different positions, I think is one thing that we're going to start seeing more of, and even more so in the installation side, is trying to find quality installers is really difficult. And that's why I think it's one of those things that, if you have people that are have been working for your organization for a while, or have been in your company for a while, maybe investing in them and getting some training in them is something that will really help you through those times. Because right now, this industry is still booming, and there's still a ton of wraps getting laid down every single day, but there's just a shortage of quality certified installers.
Have you found some ways to kind of get around that, or have you found some ways that have been working for you to find good people to work at your shop?
For me, I've kind of a little bit at an unfair advantage to other people in that I am a 3M trainer and I do teach 3M training classes,
Mm-hmm.
So I do have the ability to train people from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so for me, that's kind of one advantage that I have.
Sure.
But I would definitely recommend to people to, send people out to a third party training, because as well as you think that you could train someone, them learning from someone else sometimes I have found is easier. I think that really investing in your employees, and whether you take a 3M training or somebody else's training, I think it's important to send those installers to those trainings, and maybe you'll find that you can take that green guy that normally, if you would have trained him under your own wing, would have taken a year or year and a half to get him to a quality that you're looking for, or speed that you're looking for, that maybe taking one of these trainings would really help them out and progress them a little bit further.
Do you have any advice about finding a good candidate and screening those candidates before you actually hire them? The training aspect, that's obviously a big deal when you hire somebody.
I've had all different types of people come into my shop looking if we're talking about just the installation side, typically what I do is, if they come into my shop and say, hey, I want to be hired as an installer, I say, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you $100 right now, and I want you to go ahead and I want you to wrap this door for me, or something like that. And if they can't do one door really, really well for $100, they're not going to do any doors really, really well for any dollar amount per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's kind of one of those things that I just kind of try people out, and a lot of times I'll just take people at their word, and if they're performing well, they're performing well, and they can stay. If they're not performing well after 2-3 weeks, then I got to kind of move on to the next, because nowadays it's like you could come in with any amount of Googled images that you want to and say that's your portfolio, but unless I'm going to spend the hours to dig and check, I'm not really going to know, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, definitely trying people out is one of those things that you kind of have to do when it comes to installers, as far as, how to find a good guy. If they come in and they've already sat down and told you that they've taken a training or paid on for themselves to take a training or something like that, then those are the people I'm going to lean on more,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, you know what the music means. Our time is up.
All right.
But I feel like, Adam, that we've barely scratched the surface here. In other words, we kind of talked about some big picture stuff, what's been going on in the industry, some of what your response has been to that. And I think it's been valuable and helpful. But I'd like to bring you back on board next month in January and discuss some more specifics, drill down a little bit more into your business and some of the things that you've learned, regarding design, pricing, installation. I just don't think we got into that stuff as much. So I'd like to bring you back. Are you good with that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I appreciate your time this month. It's the end of the year. So I hope you have a great Christmas and New Year, and we'll be talking to you again soon.
Awesome. It was a pleasure being on with you today.
Thank you, sir. And thanks again to our guest, Adam Sumner, and to our sponsor, Epson. Look for Rapix Imaging at rapiximaging.com. That's Rapix with an X, by the way. And Epson at epson.com/resin, RESIN. Be sure to tune in next month for part 2, Electric Boogaloo, with Adam as we tap even further into his expertise on pricing, installation design, and more. You'll find perspectives, education, tips, tricks, news, videos, and more, all focused on your business and connecting you to experts in the field at graphics-pro.com. And for regional events designed to support and strengthen your business, go to graphics-pro-expo.com. You can find this podcast at your favorite platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or SoundCloud. You can also browse the archives at graphics-pro.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, adios, amigos.